shine and look glory. When you communicate with God, the major communication you do is communicate to God. Tell him your needs and your wants. Give him your challenges. Where I was in the areas of Kitui, was given a testimony of a person who was baptized and felt that the prayers were not enough. He opted for option B. You can guess what option B is. He's living now a desperate life because he went into a wrong direction. What I'm praying to my brothers and sisters in the church, our communication is what we call upward communication. Between member and member, we call it horizontal communication. Pray for your brother. Pray for your sister. Pray for your pastor. Pray for your church elders. Pray for the children. Horizontal. Then we go vertical. Horizontal, then we go to vertical. As a good steward, you should be constantly giving an account. Wewe kama mwakili, give an account. What do I have? How much have I been blessed? Give an account of what you have. Count your blessings. Name them one by one. Count your blessings. Name them one by one. And you see what the Lord has done for you. Can you give an account? The power of the mind is many people will say, I don't have, and you will never have because of the power in the mind. What you utter from your tongue will prove to be right. The power of the mind. In 1983, in one of the American medical channels, I read of one man. By the way, many people didn't know, but I used to be a lab technician. That's why I came across this document. But I've lost all the science in the laboratory. But I can tell you what a microscope is. I can tell you what a centrifuge is. I can tell you what a test tube is. I can tell you, the pipette fillers. I can tell you, the electrical mixer. At least. And if I go to the microphone, to the microscope, I can tell you this one. The way it's looking is like this. But I forgot about it. Now I'm in the mission of God. In 1983, in one of the American medical channels, I don't know whether it's volume 1 or volume 2, it talked about research being done on the power of the mind. And I'm naambia washiriki wangu wa Shauri Moyo, usianze kutamka yale ambayo ni negative, yatakumaliza. Hata ukiwa unapata shilingi 10,000, sina hazikai. Because God cannot give you because he knows you don't appreciate what he has put in your pocket. Shukuru Mungu kwa kila amekupa. That 1983 American Medical Channel says a man was sentenced to death for having caused a crime that deserved death. I think I even spoke it here. No, I've not spoken this one here. Even if I did, I'm reminding somebody about stewardship. Constantly giving an account. Constantly. Examine yourself. Examine yourself. Am I giving the right account? Am I? Is it true what I'm giving is what I'm entitled to give? We don't give so that we can be blessed. That's a wrong theology. Leo nataka muondoke hapo. Hatulipi, hatupeani kwa sababu tunataka kwenda kubarikiwa. Leo na kuondoa hapo. My theology tells me you give because you have been blessed. You give because you have been blessed. Bwana asifiwe. If you have been blessed, give. But if you are giving so that you are going to give, it means you want to bribe God. Kumshukuru. Mr. Brown akaletwa, akaambiwa, Mr. Brown, you know your sentence. Tomorrow, you will go to the execution room. And there, we will finish the business. So Mr. Brown slept, knowing that come the next day, that's the last time I will see this world. And therefore, the next day comes. Mr. Brown is drawn from the cells. He is brought to an execution room. And then he was put in a box of this nature, covered inside, the way the fridge is normally covered. And then the scientist wanted to see, to find out the power of the mind. Give because you have been blessed. Don't give so that you get to be blessed. That is bribing God. Basi Mr. Brown akaletwa pale, and the scientist wanted to find out the power of the mind. They put him in a box, and on top of that box, they drilled a small hole like this one. Small, very small. Very small. Mr. Brown was put in a box, and he was told at exactly 1 o'clock, you will be given the injection, and that will be the end of your life. So Mr. Brown, while in the box, he was like, anytime, because I don't know when the 1 o'clock will tick. Akakaa pale. Can you imagine? Ushawahi kuchelewa na matatu haitokeze? Yaani vile mpaka unakuliwa na siafu because matatu haitatokezea, and you are getting late. Ukisikia mungurumo unafikiri ni matatu, unakuta sio matatu. Even if it takes 5 minutes, still you feel like you have stayed there for an hour. Ushawahi experience that? So Mr. Brown being in a box, alikuwa anangojea saa 7. And one thing he had in the mind, anything that will touch me at 1 o'clock, ni ile injection ya kufanya nini? Ya kunimaliza. So the scientist wanted to see the power of the mind. So after 3 hours in the box, they went to the refrigerator. Now, what do we call it in scientific line? They drew cold water from the fridge in a syringe. Not even with a needle, just a syringe alone. Bwana asifiwe. Unajua sitahubiri shauri moyo 31st of August 2024 tena, ni leo. If I have to preach, it should be September. So shika hii. Ni ya kufunga mwezi. Now, ni ya kufunga mwezi. Sitahubiri tarehe 31 August 2024. Hapana. Ni leo tu. Na vile tulilishwa makambi, hatujashika njaa sana, lakini shika hii. Kiswahili tunasemaje? Wakafyonza maji baridi kutoka kwa chokovu, baridi ile, cold water from the fridge. Wakakucha pole, haijafika saa 7, but they are trying to see the power of the mind. Wakakucha taratibu na yale maji kwa syringe, wakajua Mr. Brown ni hapa, kichwa kipo pale. Wakafinyiria maji baridi kwa kichwa cha Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown aliposikia hayo maji, akaanza kupigana ndani ya box. Kuku wakasema, give him some time to rest. Wakampa Mr. Brown a few minutes to rest. And then they said, now let us open our box. When they opened the box, guess what? Mr. Brown was dead. Who killed him? Himself. Jifanye masikini kwa kila wakati unatamka bado haitakuwepo. Walk as a steward of God and say, I'm rich. because I'm serving the living God. Sasa kila wakati sina, hautapata na haitakuwepo, because the power in your mind is that I don't have. It will never be there. Give an account. Trustee of the master's goods. You are a trustee of the master's goods. Shika. When you are a trustee, take care of what has been placed in your hands. To be faithful, brothers and sisters, anything that you have and it multiplies, it is God who multiplies what you have. Sio wewe. The coin you have and it multiplies, it is God who multiplies what he has given you in your hands. Sio ni wewe umefanya. It doesn't work like that. We have to be honest. In your business transaction as a steward, you have to dispense the Lord's goods. Dispense them. Usikwamie. Dispense what God has given you. Brother, you have to be faithful like one man called John Stephen Akwari. I love that story, and I want to finish with this short story. I wish I could make it longer, but let me just make it brief. There could be some people who are disturbed. Pastor amechukua muda sana. Ni kwa sababu ni 31st of August. Sisa ubiri hapa tena 31st of August. 2024, never. Wata tufunge mwaka. In 1968, be faithful like the dog. Be faithful like a man. I have many stories, but nitasema maana sitasungumuza tena hiyo story. Hii kitabu, I'm going to give you 2 stories. Hii kitabu, I know many of you have been looking at it, na mnatembea, mnaenda tu, mnapita. But there are so many good stories here about stewardship. And allow me quickly to read this, and I take you to the Olympics. I finish in the next 10 minutes. Some years ago, I visited a farmer near Holster, California, where this actually occurred. His crops were coming up satisfactorily when one day he noticed that the dreaded army beetles had settled in a corner of one of the fields. Realizing that it would be but a moment of hours before his entire farm will be bare, he was filled with despair. Hii kitabu chukueni, hata kama ni 6,000. Haiwezi zeeka haraka. Message doesn't get old. Hii story, I'm giving you these stories about stewardship, being faithful. Whereupon his little girl spoke up, "Daddy," she said, "you pay your tithe, don't you? Then why not ask God to keep his promise and drive the beetles away?" How did the girl know that the father is giving the tithe? Because the father was transparent. Nyinyi watoto wenu hawajui kama unaleta nini. As a steward, communicate. Hata patia mtoto bahasha, mwambie hii tunarudisha shukrani, Mungu ametulinda. The child challenged the father. If father you pay the tithes, why don't you ask God to keep the promise? Together they knelt in prayer, earnestly claiming the promise of Malachi chapter 3 verse 11. So many hiyo Biblia. What were they claiming from Malachi chapter 3:11? You find the answer there. Looking up, they saw some black birds. Looking up, they saw some black birds. After going down on their knees and praying, they saw black birds, and alighting on the field where the beetles were. More came, and still more soon. The farmer told me they resembled a cloud in the sky. They remained on the ground only a few minutes, but when they flew away, there wasn't a beetle left. The blackbirds had devoured them all. Ngine hiyo kitabu iko na hiyo maneno iko. Literature evangelist wetu uko hapa. Dispense the books. Walipoomba, nani alipata 3:11 inasemaje? Malak 3:11 imesemaje? Mmepata jibu kwa sababu ya muda. Wakapiga magoti wakaomba, walipomaliza kuomba, kufungua macho tu hivi, wakaona ndege weusi wanakuja, wakakaa kwa kona fulani, na wengine wakakuja, na wengine wakakuja. Maombi, because they were faithful givers. Mungu ndiye alituma wale ndege ama nyoni, wakaingia kuokota moja kwa moja, one after the other. Walipoondoka, there was no beetle in the farm. Protect what has been bestowed on you by being a faithful giver. Kiangalia wengine wanasema nimechukua muda, the story I wanted to give, I will give it next time. May God bless us all. Let us rise up. Naomba wimbo nambari 14, napenda huo wimbo sana. Good steward is to walk with God. A good steward walks with God. Be faithful, brother. Be faithful in what you are doing. Be faithful in what has been entrusted in the hands. You have been given that trust. Take care of the trust and have a positive mind that I am a rich person because I serve the living God. Namba 14, twende.
Nitembee nawe Mungu. Tuimbe. Nitembee nawe Mungu alivyotembea Henok, mkono wangu ushike, unene nami kwa pole, ingawa njia sioni, Yesu nitembee nawe. Siwezi tembea peke, pana dhoruba mbinguni, mitego ya miguu elfu, adui wengi hufichwa, uitulize bahari, Yesu nitembee nawe. Ukinishika mkono, anasa kwangu hasara, kwa nguvu nitasafiri, tautwika msalaba hata mji wa Sayuni, Yesu unitembee nawe.
Siwezi tembea peke yangu, kwa maana mitego ya ibilisi ni mikali. Tembea na Yesu, tembea na Baba yetu katika kazi yako, katika huduma zako. Baba, tubariki na ni asante kwa huduma hii. Katika Kristo Yesu tumeomba. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor, for the wonderful word that you have given us. Kwa wakati huu ningeomba all board members be upstanding. All church board members be upstanding. Church board members, naomba vile mmesimama hivyo tutoke hivyo nje, tupatane kwa room ya matayarisho kwa wakati huu. Tafadhali all church board members, naomba tupate ombi kwa ajili ya lunch kutoka kwa Sarah. Sarah, kindly come and pray for us.
Tuamini na tuombe. Baba, katika jina lako Yesu Kristo, tumesema ni asante kwa kutupa asubuhi tukafika masaa haya. Tuna wingi wa shukrani. Tunasema ni asante Baba, tunapoenda kupata chakula cha mchana, pata ukatubariki Yesu, na ukapate kukumbuka wenye hawana Yesu. Tuongoze na utubariki, na ni katika jina lako Yesu Kristo tumeomba na hata kuamini.